Man, this bombshell of a report from Dianna, Russini, and Zack Rosenblatt from The Athletic on the situation going on with the Jets is like, you literally can't make it up how inept this franchise is. In the words of one Jets coach, it's just such a fucking mess. Something has to change. This report is apparently from 30 different sources in and around the team. Like just a couple months ago, Aaron Rodgers and I believe Saleh alluded to it too, on how, like, what do these people have to gain by leaking these reports? I think Rodgers was alluding to that with the Zach Wilson refusing to play thing. Like why are people doing that? Like what does someone have to gain? Like, is there a financial thing? Is it clout? Like, why are there so many leaks in the ship? And they said they were going to get their house in order, but like, you got coaches saying it's an effing mess. You got 30 sources. I don't know. Like, to me, this looks the worst on Saleh for one. You know, he took a woe is me attitude when Rodgers immediately got hurt. He's researching coaches and what their records were when they've lost starting quarterbacks to try to compare himself. I saw somewhere else that apparently he said they thought they'd be lucky to win 8 games. Like, legit quotes that say, what do you expect? We lost Aaron Rodgers. Like, this is a coach who's not trying to overcome anything. Use coaching. You have players. Try to get better. But instead, it's almost like he gave up on the season after 4 snaps in. Like, what kind of attitude is that from the person who's supposed to lead your team? You know, one AFC general manager said that Rodgers isn't the assistant GM Joe Douglas is. Essentially, you know, alluding to that Rodgers is the one making all the decisions for this team. And, you know, a lot of people have been saying that forever. Because, like, look at it. Nathaniel Hackett wasn't competent, and this report isn't very nice to Hackett. There's lots of, you know, taking a long time to adjust to anything, the lack of watching tape and practice. Like, Hackett lacked attention to detail. He'd never seen a team watch less practice tape in training camp than the Jets did. Like this is the NFL, people, and we're not even going to like watch tape as much as, you know, the next team. You know, it's said that offensive line coach Kevin Carter asked for help in week 2 for Parsons, and Hackett never gave it to him. I was at that game. What a waste of money. Flew to friggin' Dallas to watch him get destroyed, and I have to find out, not that the Jets would have won, but to find out the coaching definitely was a huge reason why they lost that game. You know, Lazard stated they were out-efforted and out-schemed. Those are all, you know, things on Hackett. And the fact that Saleh just keeps blankly backing up Hackett and not getting more involved, it goes to show you that Rodgers is the one running the show, because Hackett is Rodgers' guy. If Aaron Rodgers was not on this team, Hackett would have been fired, you know, halfway through the season. I have no doubt in mind, but it is the Jets, you know, that maybe they're incapable of making decisions like that. But Hackett would have been gone by the sounds of it, but it's Aaron Rodgers' guy. We brought in Aaron Rodgers players as well, and because of those players, we lack the depth in a lot of places. Alan Lazard, terrible year. Randall Cobb is just as, you know, Rodgers' good buddy getting a paycheck. Like they did not have the weapons after Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. Dalvin Cook, we wasted that money on Dalvin Cook when we should have been looking at the O-line to bring in anyone to help that O-line, because anyone could see in training camp the O-line was a problem from the get-go. You know, on the whole Zach Wilson thing, even more light on it. And again, I can't help but feel bad for this kid. Gets them to a winning record, or gets them 500 going to the bye, a little bit rough stretch after it, and then bam, benched, and we're telling you you're getting traded. Fast forward a couple weeks later, they come tail between legs begging him to come back and play because obviously they made the wrong decision. And Zach was reluctant. He did not want to play. They had to go around and use Rodgers. And then we find out that Rodgers wasn't actually communicating with Zach Wilson at all. And again, he's on the sideline. They said they were, you know, Rodgers all season. I love Zach. I'm always talking to Zach. I love Zach. Always talking to Zach. And Zach Wilson said, yeah, Rodgers is the guy. You know, we're always talking. But apparently they never talked after week 1. That's insane. So either both of them are lying, the sources are lying. Like, there's just so much wrong when you read something like this. It doesn't look good. Like, how is this team going to be competitive next year when you have these types of issues and this many people who are ready to run to the media to sell this team out of all the stuff going on behind the scenes? Seems like Saleh can't keep his house in order. Seems like a nice guy, but hey, look at your record so far. Yeah, you could blame the quarterback, sure. But look at Cleveland. They took your quarterback from last year who wasn't good enough to be the backup, and they made the playoffs with Joe Flacco. And Joe Flacco looked good. I know they got crushed in the wild card game, but hey, Kevin Stefanski did a good job managing, like losing Nick Chubb early in the year. He did a great job getting that team into a position where they can be competitive, and not only be competitive, but actually make the playoffs. The Jets, the second Rodgers go down, they give up. The organization gave up. On the whole season, they punted it. It's almost like Zach Wilson winning those games and the defense playing on their minds gave them false hope. We find out that Rex Hogan, the assistant GM, has been let go. Not alluding he was the leak, but it's funny on how all these other leaks come out and then they agree to mutually part ways. Like, someone in there who has access to Saleh, potentially Joe Douglas, and obviously can talk to Zach Wilson, somebody has familiarity with those circles is leaking it. And, it's obviously someone, this isn't the janitor overhearing stuff. Where do they go from here? You're going to bring back a 1 year older quarterback coming off a tough injury and rehab. You're expecting him to play the whole season next year behind this O-line? Yes, they got their first round pick. They do. But whether it's a wide receiver or an offensive lineman, that one player is not going to change much. The cap space is going to be tight with Aaron Rodgers' cap hit. It'll be interesting to see what they can actually do to make this team competitive. And by all intents and purposes, they have tremendous players in the defense. Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, studs. But how are they going to remake this offensive line to keep a 40-year-old quarterback healthy for an entire season? There's play calling things you could do to get around it too. You can lean on the run game. You could do quick passing and stuff like that. Do we trust Hackett to do that with, it's more or less, it's going to be Aaron Rodgers is going to be his own offensive coordinator. So, he only lasted 4 plays last year. Like, God, I hope he comes back with a vengeance and stays healthy and all that stuff. And we could laugh about this later and, celebrate how the Jets had a great season. But I don't know. And I don't know, when you look around the NFL and you see all these teams going with the youth movement, the Jets have tried the non-retread route a couple times here, but hey, the greatest coach of all time is still out there in Belichick. Would he want to coach the Jets? Probably not. He'd probably retire rather than coaching the Jets. But you should be asking the question. I'm sure Aaron Rodgers would respect Bill Belichick enough to come in. And if he doesn't, then let's be honest, Aaron, bit of a clown. It's more so about him and not about the team. Vrabel's out there. There's some solid guys who have, success in this league available. And I can't help but feel the Jets need an adult in the room who people are going to look up to and respect and want to run through a brick wall for. Because I don't think that's what they have going on right now. So that'll wrap it up for me. Let me know in the comments, what do you guys think the Jets will do? I think we all think they're just going to run it back with a couple tweaks and pray for health. But what should they do? Should they make a change at head coach? Should they clean house from top to bottom? And I know that's tough to do with Aaron Rodgers. And if they do that, does Aaron Rodgers potentially want out? And is it the worst thing?